Hi, I'm Somer Hackley,
Hi, I'm Zen Mak. This is the Art of Search Hiring Manager series.
and these are stories and insights about all things hiring.
When you kick off a new search with a hiring manager, what would be the best things that they can do to really help you succeed in the search?
So many things. I'm trying to think of where to start. And feel free to chime in because I want to hear your 2 cents on this too. So, I would say that they, I was first going to say I think they need to know what they want, but I don't even know if that's true. They don't always know what they want, and that's okay because we can help them get there, right? We can ask questions. A lot of the time is they come with a laundry list of this is what I need. This is what I need someone to have done before. And that's not always the best place to start. It's more so where's the business going and all that kind of stuff, right? Like how do you define success for this role? And so then we can piece together what we need. So let's not even worry about that because I feel like they don't even have to have a job description. They don't have to have, if they have some idea of why they're hiring, sure, like good, you need to know what that is. But I think for it to be successful, transparency, honesty, availability, open communication, accessibility, feedback, prioritization, hiring, once you give me something to work on, it's my priority. And I work best with people that it's the similar amount of priority on their plate too. And I love when I'm texting with hiring managers. We can text about candidates, we can text about positioning, we can text about, hey, even today I was texting with the hiring manager, hey, you're the next person you want this candidate to meet with. They didn't respond to Lauren, who does all our scheduling yesterday. Can you please nudge them and get that going? Like, I love that I can just ask the hiring manager to push process, but
Hmm.
you can't always do that. You don't always have that sort of relationship, or it depends on the company. Sometimes certain companies have a lot of unwritten rules or rules they tell you of like who to contact when and how to contact people, or you don't even have cell phone numbers, or they take 24 hours to respond to an email. So I think speed of communication and transparency and openness, there's a lot there on that list. But then I guess then let's think about other things. I need them to help me sell the role.
Hmm.
I need them to also realize they're not the best thing in the world, you know? Um, I think that sometimes when I meet with certain types of companies, they're like, of course everyone wants to work here. But a little bit of being humble and realizing that it's a two-way street helps versus showing up in an interview and just grilling candidates. If they
Yeah.
can do a lot of legwork internally to make sure everyone's on the same page about the position and what it is, before candidates get to the next levels. I guess we have to break it down into communication, prioritization, feedback, speed, and then internal communication that they need to do, and just keeping us in the loop of what's going on so that we do a lot of behind the scenes with candidates, right? Like if they have something going on where things are going to take an extra 2 weeks, just let us know so we can manage that versus being in the dark. So anyway, I just said a ton of things.
I
What do
think
you think? Yeah.
no, I think you're absolutely right in the sense that I think it boils down to really communication. If you're going to engage with search, this you need to be communicating what's happening,
Hmm.
regular check-ins. But even before you kick off a search, I think one of the most important things that we fail to consider sometimes is who are all the players involved in this hire? Everything from the team, who the interviews are, what are their questions, what are their sensitivities? Sometimes when you think about leveling, you kind of have to think through where this person's going to fit in on the team before you start interviewing. Because it's really easy to change a job description for a more senior title, or you can kind of consider those pieces as you're interviewing and you're finding out what's available on the market. But without the forethought of thinking about who your team is, who's interviewing, how do they fit into the group? Why did you decide that? Where are your where are your sensitivities around, oh no, we cannot over level this position because of these future things? I think those are actually more important than when you start
Hmm.
to think about before starting to interview, because that'll give you strength of resolve in decisioning.
Hmm.
Oftentimes I find that the level's unclear, the role responsibilities are a little bit unclear. You meet somebody, you get all the way to the final interview, and then you're kind of stuck then you've got somebody on your team that disagrees with the hire, but for something that you could have probably addressed earlier in the interview process. And at the same time, that might affect who or what kind of candidates you go after in the first place. So that usually drags on the search, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And please don't skip update meetings. I guarantee you, external recruiting folks do have better things to do than to meet with you every day at noon. But there must be something that we need to talk about a candidate or about their process or about some concerns. And so if we have a regular cadence of communication, that will make the search go way smoother.
I agree with that. I was going to add that hiring managers that listen to feedback and treat me as a partner.
Mm.
And because as we kick off a search, we learn a lot,
Hmm.
about, is the comp level right? How is this position being viewed? Is the title, does it even make sense? Like I've pivoted titles mid-search, updated a job description. Hey, we're not getting the right kind of person with these words. We need these words, and or
Mm.
even, telling hiring managers like, hey, look, what you want doesn't exist in other companies, so we might have to look at this and this and the other thing. And my favorite are hiring managers that push my thinking and remove my bias on companies, brands, that kind of thing. Like when hiring managers are like, oh yeah, we don't need someone from X company. As long as they have this and this, that's great. So I love when hiring managers are open to the right kind of person. I think that's how you can open your slate, but they also are responsive. They listen to us as a partner,
Yeah.
versus kind of telling us what to do, go do it, send me resume. Like that's not what this says. This is, okay, I understand your big picture. I'm going to go execute on that. I'm going to come back to you with what I find, and we might have to change our strategy a little bit, and then when they're like, got it, okay, that makes sense, or they push back, but at least we talk
Yeah.
about it. So and it could
Yeah.
be anything.
I agree with you. And I think part of the challenge for search people, whether that's internal recruiting, external recruiting, doesn't matter, is there's a little bit of hesitancy. And going back to the manager saying, what you're looking for doesn't exist because the overarching black cloud that follows us around is you didn't try hard enough. Right. And so
Right.
I think a lot of recruiting folks kind of feel like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place when you know what they're asking for doesn't exist, but you kind of have to go through the motions and burn enough quote unquote midnight oil to prove to them that, oh yeah, you were right all along. And so
Hmm.
how do we remove a little bit of that friction? I think is going to help the search out a long way. And I love what you said about hiring manager, please listen to some of the feedback or some of the data. And I do agree that there might be some tips here for recruiters to say, look, you've got to show that you've done the search, and you can't just
Right, show
jump to
your
the
work.
conclusion
Right.
of, oh yeah, this doesn't exist. Well, actually, it does. You just didn't look
Hmm.
hard enough. And so finding that balance is a little tricky, I think. But having that relationship with the hiring manager and asking her to define what it might look like or asking him to show you where some of the gray is, I think is going to move the needle so much further than if you were just to go and bang your head against the wall, I think.
Well, I
Yeah.
love it. I think there's a lot to think about here, and it's good food for thought how to set this up in the beginning whenever we kick off a search to maybe plant the seeds for how to make it successful. So, well, that
Agree.
was
That
good
was fun.
conversation today, Zen. It was so good to chat with you as always about everything hiring and recruiting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.